Let us know when you are.
I'm happening.
Can we move the whole thing back over there? I'm just kidding. You like it? That's a TV.
I like that.
Okay, I'm ready whenever you guys are.
Oh, wait, hold on. Well, give me a minute. Hold on 1 second.
We all ready?
Almost.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, very good.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, ready.
Over with Dan here.
You're the man of the hour.
Good morning.
Right.
Good morning.
Yeah. Why are we here?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Damian Gunn with the Crenshaw Subway Coalition. We are here with a coalition of community groups that came together, including the Bus Riders Union and the No on 710 Tunnel, the Congress of Racial Equality, from Highland Park to Park Mesa Heights, from Boyle Heights to Beverly Hills, from MacArthur Park to Leimert Park, including the Beverly Hills Unified School District, and Mayor John Murish, or Vice Mayor John Murish is here. We all have concern about Measure J, which is on this ballot. We are all opposed to an unaccountable, non-responsive metro getting $90 billion of our sales tax over the next 30 years to eviscerate and accelerate destruction of our community and boondoggle projects. We're pleased to have with us today the chair of the Metro Board and the supervisor from the 5th District, Mike Antonovich, and we're going to give it over to him.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join with a coalition representing all points of view in the County of Los Angeles to expose a measure that is on the ballot in November, Measure R, that ought to be defeated. As was just mentioned, you have a shakedown taking place here with a shake-up taking place downstairs relative to the mayor and earthquake preparedness program for the transit system. But this is really a shakedown. What we have here is a proposition that is going to lock in population at a 2004 figure all the way until 2069. It's ridiculous. It also is going to limit funding for Metrolink at 3% until 2069. This is where over 900,000 passengers today ride Metrolink through the 6 counties that serve that program. It's also going to hurt bus service. Our buses are an integral part of our transit system. And finally, it has no connections, no rail connections to our airports. To LAX, the Green Line will not go to LAX because the funding is not adequate in Measure R. It will not go to Ontario Airport because the GO line doesn't go to Claremont, no funding. Or Long Beach, the Blue Line does not go to Long Beach Airport, or the Bob Hope, or Palmdale. This does not meet the bus needs, the rail needs, the taxpayers' needs, and it locks in funding until 2069 when all of us will be at our local cemetery, not meeting the transit needs of the population of Los Angeles County. So that is why I joined with my colleague Supervisor Don Canavi in voting no on Measure R, and with this coalition of people behind me who are urging a no vote on R. And let's have a transit system that meets all of the needs, not just the special interest needs. By voting no, we are voting for the taxpayers and the bus riders and their train riders as well.
No on J. Thank you, Supervisor. Next up, we have Celeste King of the Congress of Racial Equality.
Yes.
From train riders to bus riders, from those that want transportation underground to those that don't want boondoggle transit tunnels in Highland Park and El Sereno. We have a common thread, and one that of Metro that can't be trusted. Celeste.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Celeste King IV. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Congress of Racial Equality of California. I'd like to thank Supervisor Antonovich for his participation here. It's greatly appreciated. And the idea that he came out for the people is super important. I want you to know that this Measure J is ostensibly a deceptive position that's been placed on the ballot that once again is going to create a situation where special interests with special concerns for specific profit programs that are not going to be beneficial to the citizens of this county or this city is being promoted. When you begin to realize that you have situations where you're looking at Parson Bricktoff, you're looking at Westhoff, you're looking at the realty corporations, all of them have a vested interest in seeing this $90 billion project go forward. However, the $90 billion project really isn't $90 billion. When you consider it going until 2069, how many dollars are you really looking at when you put the interest on top of it? You're looking at more than any billion, 90 billion. You know, you could very well be looking at more like $500 billion before it's over with, when it gets extensions and all the rest of those things. The other thing is, who's really going to pay for this? Who's going to pay for it are the moderate and low income people whose services are disrupted because they no longer have bus service or an ability to be able to get transportation to their jobs, for shopping, for schools, and other programs. And that's going to be a major impairment to the economic base of this community. We have to look at all of these things and understand that there is more than what hits the surface. We do not have the money to finish the programs that are already in place, the gold line, the green line, red lines. Those are the things that we need to finish. We need to finish them so that we have adequate transportation to the ports, to the airport, and every place else, because they have connections. We do not have connections with this situation. This just puts, specific runs, and they're long runs, and they remove bus lines. Remember, they remove bus lines. Once again, those who can least afford it are asked to support and promote and pass a bill that will harm them. They are asked to vote against their own best interests. And that's what the people are being asked to do today. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste King of Congress of Racial Equality. Next up, we have John Murish, Vice Mayor of the Beverly Hills.
Thank you. Well, Beverly Hills was among the cities that voted in favor of the original Measure R at a ratio of about 75%. I think that was among the highest in LA County. Right now I'm taking the position, fool us once, shame on you. Fool us twice, well, as George Bush said, you're not going to fool us twice. So 4 years ago, voters narrowly approved Measure R, and yet 4 years later, they're asking us for a 30-year extension. My question would be, why should we believe them now? Are they going to come back in another 4 years and ask for another 30 years? Actually, they originally wanted this to become a forever tax. I'd written an article in the LA Business Journal in May decrying that. I guess they didn't like the moniker forever tax. So instead, this is a multi-generational great-grandchildren tax that will be paid off until 2069. We don't know what the technology is going to be. In fact, Metro themselves has said, well, the technology's improved so fast, we can now tunnel, for example, under Beverly Hills High School with these new TBMs, tunnel boring machines. We couldn't do it before. So essentially, they're trying to ask us now to pay for something that we don't know whether it's going to be outdated or obsolete, or if it's going to meet the needs of future generations. It is not fair to ask them to pay for it. The arguments that are being made they will benefit from it are not valid, because we don't know that those will be the best values for our taxpayer dollars, and that is the problem. Metro seems to be the governmental version of the Wall Street banks that were too big to fail, and giving them more money for another at least 60 years is not the solution. We really have to think of our children. We have to think of all of us and say no. As Phil Brown wrote in City Watch LA, in this day and age, now more than ever, we need to do more for less. Metro is asking us to do less for more. We must say no on Measure J. Thank you.
No on J.
Protect our citizens.
No on J. We are getting jacked with Measure J. Bus service is getting jacked. Communities are getting jacked. They're accelerating the destruction of our communities, accelerating the destruction of our bus system. Next up, we're going to have Eric Roman from the Bus Riders Union. In the last Measure R, they cut bus service. They increased our taxes and cut bus service. What are they going to do again with even more money?
Thank you very much. Eric Roman from the Bus Riders Union. Bus Riders Union in the house? Yeah! All right. Great. So we're very pleased to be here today with the chair of the Metro Board, Mike Antonovich. We appreciate his courage in standing up against the tide and joining with communities, both from all throughout the county that are upset and opposed to Measure J, but also inside the city of Los Angeles, right? This is often pitched as purely a city versus county issue. The reality is that there's people all throughout the county that feel like Measure J, that no, Measure J is a bad deal and a shakedown for them. And there's people inside the city as well, including our members. We represent 500,000 bus riders in the city and the county. As Damien said 4 years ago, we opposed Measure R out of fear that Measure R, in accelerating Metro's construction plan, would also accelerate the dismantling of the bus system and the victories of our civil rights fight over 15 years. And we saw precisely that. Just a couple days ago in the newspaper, a Metro spokesperson said, oh, well, the bus riders complaining they didn't get anything out of Measure R. They got 700 new buses. What he didn't mention is that they cut 1 million hours of bus service, the biggest cuts in the agency's history in the last 4 years since Measure R was passed. This agency's budget grew by over $1 billion, and what do? They cut 1 million hours of bus service, abject cruelty for Black, Latino, Asian Pacific Islander, working class people who depend on the bus system to get around. So that's why we've joined forces with communities from South Los Angeles, from Northeast Los Angeles and the San Gabriel Valley, from Beverly Hills, from all across the county to oppose Measure J. Again, to echo the comments of our partners here today, we see this as a boondoggle sales tax that's going to go into the pockets of big corporations who are funding the Measure J campaign. Taxpayers, including the worst off in this county that have been hit hard by a recession, are being asked to pay more in taxes and drown ourselves in debt for decades into the future. At the very same time, what are we being offered? MTA promises more service cuts and more fare increases for decades into the future. So that's why we're here joining with Supervisor Mike Antonovich, chair of the MTA Board, and partners from all throughout the county to say no on Measure J. Thank you.
No way, MTA, no on J. You will not jack up our communities. You will not consider the acceleration of the cuts in bus services. And now next we have Dr. Tom Williams from the community of El Sereno. In that boondoggle of project, the Metro's attempt to create the version of the Big Dig right here in our own backyard with our tax dollars. Tom Williams.
No on J. J is a joke. It's a joke on us. Where is it going? We don't know. Hey, in the total, there's a $41 billion price tag on this, of which $13 billion is for highway projects. But that's going to be provided by some form of public-private partnership. For 710 North Extension, not the gap closure, they want only $3.4 billion. So what do we have? We have bait and switch, we have snow jobs, we have shell games. All of these things will be a joke on us if we pass this. So we have to stop it now. Hey, in 2 years they can come back with a better one. We have better alternatives for 710 highway and tunnels. We have a lot of programs out there, and we can always help each other. Yes, I know Beverly Hills, I know Baldwin Hills, I know downtown. All of these places are part of Measure J, and we need to fight it and have no on Measure J.
No on J.
No on J. No way, MTA, no on J. No way, MTA, no on J. No way, MTA, no on J. As I said, I'm Damien Gilman of the Crenshaw Subway Coalition. We have been involved in the fight as our colleagues here with the Bus Riders Union from the 710 community, from the MacArthur Park community. We've seen this Metro Board, and to be frank, they can't be trusted. You cannot trust a board controlled by Antonio Villaraigosa. He's trying to use the same accounting tricks and the same crony capitalism that is rampant and made Los Angeles the second most corrupt city in the country into Metro. You simply can't trust it. It's a tax on the 1% for the connected developers and the big-time developers. For the connected contractors and the big-time developers. It's crony capitalism at its worst, and we're here to urge all residents and all voters in Los Angeles County to vote no on Measure J. Thank you. That's going to conclude our press conference. If you have questions specifically from the Bus Riders Union, allow me to direct you to Eric Roman. If you have questions about the 710 tunnel, allow me to direct you to Tom Williams. If you have questions about Beverly Hills, again, speak to John Murish, the Vice Mayor of Beverly Hills. If you have questions about the Crenshaw line, myself, Damian Goodman of the Crenshaw Subway Coalition. If you have questions from the Congress of Racial Equality, I'm going to direct you to George Mazzetti, the Policy Director of Congress of Racial Equality. Did I get everybody? That's everybody. No blank check for Metro. Thank you.
Can we get a picture of all you guys?
Yeah, pictures.
Pictures, guys. Pictures.
More buses, more rails.
Are you for the press? Yes. What press are you? Beverly Hills Courier? Oh. Alright, guys. You got everybody? I don't know if everyone's in there. Alright, everyone's in there? 3. I have no voice. 3, 2, and hold on. Take another one. 3. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Got it. Thanks, guys.
Maybe get more chanting too. More chanting. They want more chanting. Hey, MTA, we say no on J. 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 Hey, MTA, we say no on J.
Hey, MTA, no on J, no joke on us.
Anything for KPFK, what's it again?
Remind me of your name? Great, yeah. Wait a minute, he might be. I saw that shit. Great, you guys
There you go.
Yep.
Did you shoot down first there?
No, that was another.
Wow. Great shit at all.
Fairness and tax, right? Especially those most disadvantaged. You'll notice that no one in this country is talking about the poor who are taking the biggest hit. When they put a half a cent on poor working people, or people of poverty who are disabled, on limited income, this constant rising cost of living, as you see in gas, they're the ones who really get really wrong in this country when the wealthiest get away with paying no taxes or minimal taxes, and then they cry about, oh, woe is me. Woe is me is the people are being kept on the bottom, who are being charged immense amounts of money now to go to school, for the cuts in adult education. The fraud I have in schools is unbelievable. I found a $10 billion overrun not in the budget on the subway to the sea. That's a part of the reason they need this money. $10 billion they have in the budget all the way to the way. It's another $10 billion of the 40 of Measure R, 25% of that money. So what's happening here is we're just talking about pork for the few at the top, because all this extra money they get, they don't give it in extra wages to workers. They're not paying their suppliers extra money. It's going in the guys at the top pocket, and it's enough of this. Let them work for their living. Let them come up with a real thing. This whole thing, they're not even telling you what it's for, you know? It's just, oh, whatever, we dream up later. And then who knows who's influencing who, especially with Citizens United now. I mean, this whole thing is totally out of control. Not just this. This is a symptom of what's going on nationally and internationally, all being run by the banks, out of control. When they took away the 99-2000, the banking deregulation, look what you've seen happen. Then you add Citizens United to it. That's why Core California is at the forefront. We don't take donations from any of those people. people ever in the United States. He saw this coming a long, long time ago. And we have maintained that status for a reason, because we are independent and we fight for the people, and no one can influence us and tell us what to do. We fight for principles, period, and for all people. That's why we're with Beverly Hills. I worked a year and a half putting together South Central with East LA on this project. And when I saw them tell Beverly Hills where to go, I went, you have no respect for anyone. I talked to Lisa Gorbachev, and now this is what you've seen, because we are